Welcome back to the A+You Podcast, brought to you by Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. I'm your host, Danielle.
And I'm your co-host, Amber.
Amber, you and Jackie call each other today?
Yes. We felt it was important that we matched. Isn't February like the twin month? No, it's not.
That's Gemini.
Sure. Yeah.
Isn't that June, Gemini?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with this February.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I matched with Jamie too, so I wanted to match with all of my J folks.
Oh, your J folk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably also helps. We got some new swag.
Yes. We like new swag at Affinity Plus.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's important.
Well, I don't even know. Jackie needs no introduction. She's our first guest to come back.
Yes. I was like our first, second returner, but I was like, wait, no. You're our first repeat guest. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be back.
This time you're back in a little bit different capacity, though. Last time you were here, we talked about the foundation. And today we're talking about, keeping yourself safe online, keeping yourself in a good position. We want people to feel empowered online, not scared. So, Jackie, just remind us what your role here is at Affinity Plus.
Sure. So I'm the director of operations. So I oversee a lot of our payment operations. And with payment operations comes fraud and scams with money movement. So I oversee a lot of that at the credit union too.
Awesome. Well, we mentioned that we're in February, and this time of year can sometimes see a little bit more activity in that fraud area. So can you talk a little bit about why that is, maybe?
Sure. So sometimes in February, we see an uptick in romance scams. Just like many other things, scammers follow a seasonal pattern. This is kind of something that's always prevalent, but we like to talk about it a little bit more in February because more people might be online looking for connection, whether it's social media or dating apps or things like that. When we're a little more open emotionally, that might accidentally let somebody we don't want to in. So it's good to just know the signs to look for and be equipped so you can be safe when you're online.
Well, and you say kind of know what to look for. So what does a romance scam typically look like?
Sure. So it can take on a lot of different looks. Sometimes if the person that maybe you're chatting with online wants to move things really fast, or I think it's called love bombing. I'm a little old to know some of these terms.
I think you're right.
If you've just been messaging for a few days and they're just giving you, an abundance of compliments, and they're using the L word and they're talking about big future plans, that can be a sign. On the flip side to that, we've had situations where maybe somebody has been engaged with somebody online for years, but they've never seen them in person, or they've never had video calls with them. Those can be signs. Again, on the flip side of that, AI allows people to make some pretty convincing videos. So you could even be having a video message with somebody that is a love interest that you met on a dating app or social media, and it could be fake. So really, I think the kicker in all of those scenarios is the second that we're talking about money. The second that we're talking about money, can I get money from you? Like, for example, if somebody's reaching out saying, maybe you've been talking to them for a long time, about their family, and they say something like, I have a family medical emergency, or I need to go visit my family and I don't have money. Can you help? And because you're emotionally invested, you've been talking to this person. We all know what it's like to have hopeful relationship kind of aspirations and stuff. So you're more likely to not see that as being a red flag when you're already emotionally invested. On the flip side, maybe they might say something like, somebody in my family passed away and I'm getting an inheritance, but I don't have a bank account and I can't open one because I'm, doing missionary work somewhere. Can you accept the money? And then I'll get it from you later. And so again, anything money is a huge red flag.
Wow.
And
So
it's a lot.
That's a lot.
You
But
know,
like, I'm assuming those are all scenarios you have seen.
Oh, yes. We've seen literally everything. I think there are a lot of misconceptions about who is vulnerable to romance scams. And I mean, I can tell you, I have had conversations with members that were 18 years old, that were 80 years old, male, female. You could be you could have a PhD. You could have not completed high school. It doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, everybody has the opportunity to become a victim if you're not taking steps to protect yourself and be aware.
So, Jacquie, to circle back a little bit, you had shared that if someone's saying they're receiving an inheritance, but they can't open a bank account right now, can you open one for me? Why is that a red flag?
Good question. It doesn't usually seem like a red flag because you're thinking, well, how could this be a scam? They're giving me funds. The fact is that a lot of these fraudsters and scammers are part of larger networks. And as difficult as it can be sometimes to hear this, you're not the only one that they're scamming. So while you might be the one that they want to funnel some money through, it's being taken from somebody else who's just being scammed. It's still a romance scam. It's just a different flavor. So those funds could come to you and then, say it's $10,000. And they say, if you do this for me, I'll let you keep $1,000. And you're like, that's very generous. So that $10,000 comes into your account. You send them $9,000 and keep $1,000. But then 2 days later, the check bounces or there's a recall on the transaction. And now you're stuck with being liable for those funds. And you had no idea what was going on. It's called a mule. We could do a whole nother session on mules. Yeah, that's why we just always say, a good kind of rule of thumb is if money comes up, it's probably part of a bigger scam. Even if it seems like, oh, we're just starting to talk about it, it's grooming. When I say they can be part of larger networks, just like you or I would get training for our job, there are training programs for these networks of fraudsters. I mean, it's gross when you really start to think about it. But that's why I say everybody could be vulnerable if you're not prepared for it or looking out for yourself, because it isn't as if it's as easy as, over a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago, you'd get an email from a prince from a different country or the person online, oh, I'm a prince in this country or whatever. Now everybody knows that's like the quintessential example of a scam, right? That's just not the case anymore. Their tools have evolved, their tactics have evolved, and that's why consumers need to be aware. And, you don't have to be scared, because if you've taken the time to look into what to look for and are just kind of aware, that's really all you need to do.
You really just need to have the feeling of empowerment to protect yourself.
Yep.
Right? So let's go there. What can you do to protect yourself online? Right? Like, we're kind of aware if money comes up, that's a red flag. But like, what else can you do? What are some other steps?
Yeah. Oftentimes when we are talking with a member who we're helping kind of recover from a romance scam situation, they'll let us know that, they were told not to talk to us about it, or they were told to kind of keep it, there's some secrecy, or, that can be something to look out for. If somebody's telling you not to talk to your bank or not to ask a trusted family member, that should be a red flag for you, and say, hey, does this really feel safe? It's easy to look after the fact and say, oh, these things should have prompted me to know something more was going on. But when you're in the thick of it, you're not seeing that way.
Sure.
Yeah.
What about, I guess in my mind, as you're talking through this, I'm thinking, okay, if I am engaged in a relationship or in a connection online, would I act the same exact way if they were sitting next to me on the couch? Right? Like, I think maybe that's a good way to think about it too. Like, would I have this conversation if I'm in a connection with someone and they're like, yeah, but don't talk about it, and they're looking me in the eye? That's a little different, right?
Yep.
That's a different vibe,
Yep.
or that's a different like level of trust than like being behind a screen and being like, oh, they told me not to tell. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's a really good way to look at it. Again, when you're in the middle of it, and I mean, there's a reason it's successful. There's a reason thousands of people fall for this every year. It's, you think differently when you're involved. It could be romance. I mean, we talk about romance scams because it's Valentine's Day nearly, right? But I mean, it could just be a connection. It could just be, you know.
Friend, a friend, like flattery, compliments, all of those things. Yes.
I mean, yes, we do see an uptick for romance scams during this time, but also, I mean, throughout the year, fraudsters will scan obituary reports throughout the country to find somebody that may be a little bit vulnerable while they're dealing with a loss, and they'll try to connect with them because of that. So, I mean, I think as far as things to do to protect yourself, any pressure to keep something private, keep something a secret, not talk about it, that should be a red flag. Your personal information or your banking information, obviously I could say this every single day about everything. Don't give anybody your banking information. But it really is listening to your instincts. Typically, when we're at kind of the end of a scam situation and we're helping a victim recover, there's always something where they go, oh, I thought maybe that was weird, or I thought maybe something could be off, and they didn't act on it. And really just kind of trusting your gut. If you think that, you're probably right. And that's a perfect time to talk with a trusted family member or friend that you know in person, that you're close with. And I know it sounds weird. Come to your financial institution. Ask if you don't want the people in your personal life to know what may or may not be going on. Come to your financial institution. First of all, we can't talk about your situation with anybody else. We have tools to help identify scams that aren't maybe generally available. And a lot of people don't report scams because they're embarrassed. I mean, something like half of romance scams go unreported. So it's really hard to even know how much money have people lost because of this epidemic. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like I said, I mean, I've talked to hundreds of victims from every walk of life, every personality, every situation. And the more that we can report and educate and talk about it, it'll get better.
I think that's the key, because I know I've had many conversations to help prevent some of those when I'm helping in the branch on the front line. Our member advisors do it daily. And it doesn't just mean cash out of the account. It could be a wire. It could be taking a check and keeping some of the funds. Little things like that. It's where, just like you said, we have training in that area and we're here to help. Like, we are that trusted resource.
Well, and I really like what you said about, like, you know, it's embarrassing. I can I mean, I can only imagine that, like, you're feeling like I fell for this, or I'm feeling vulnerable, or there's all these feelings attached to this, right? And you're like, I don't want my sister to know. I don't want my friend to know. Like, that's embarrassing. Or I don't want people to know that I was vulnerable in this situation. If you come into, you know, our branch or whoever your trusted financial is, we don't care. I mean, and I don't mean that in like we don't care about you. We don't care that this happened because you connected with somebody. We care about protecting you. We care about...
We don't judge.
We don't judge.
Right.
We care about helping you through this situation and making sure that you come out on the other side correct. So if you're feeling off about it, you talk to somebody that isn't going to judge you.
Well, or even the police. If you don't want your financial institution to know yet, or you don't want your family, go to the police. Again, I mean, I understand the initial feeling of embarrassment until you start to look into the statistics and how often this happens and how, I mean, it can financially devastate people. Like I said, some of these are long-term. I mean, we've had some where they've been talking to this person or this profile for years and they've been trickling funds the whole time. And it's, wouldn't you rather have just maybe double checked with somebody? There's nothing wrong with that. And if you didn't, again, financial institutions deal with this day in and day out right now. It's not a space for judgment. It's a space for learning and helping heal and solve.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a family member who has fallen for multiple situations, and it's been difficult. And you try to help the best that you can. And I think that's kind of leads us into like, I mean, how do you help someone that might be going through this? Like, how do you support a family member or a friend or anybody that's kind of gone through something like this?
I think even if you have people in your life that haven't fallen for something yet, or you suspect they may, or you suspect they may be open online and something, it's just important to ask them questions to understand, curiosity questions. If they share the scenario and it sounds like, this is a scam, it's empathy. It's not shame. It's let's figure this out together. Let me go with you. If there's finances involved, which if it's a scam, if finances aren't involved yet, they will be. So, help them take steps to further protect themselves. And, they need to stop talking with whomever they're speaking with. And you need to be in a posture of protection and care and empathy and understanding, not, I can't believe you fell for this, or how could you, or, why didn't you know this, or, you sent this person my inheritance, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's when you start looking into these scenarios and just how incredibly complex and deep they are, it's really, you don't know, you weren't in their shoes. You have no idea how they talked with that person or what they were feeling. So just starting there can really help with somebody feeling comfortable to open up too. Because that person, if they are being scammed and they perhaps suspected it, but kind of went along with it anyways, with the hopes of the promise of a relationship or a lifelong companion, they're going to be embarrassed. So just acknowledging maybe that they might be embarrassed, but they don't need to be talking about, if you go online, the statistics and the stories, they're on, there's Netflix specials about people, which I have so much respect for those people that are going on these streaming apps and sharing their story. And I know they're just doing it so other people can learn. And it's like, you're so brave. I just think it's great. If everybody did that, we'd probably be further along in kind of our fight against this kind of fraud. But
there's something to be said for that level of vulnerability.
Yep. Yep.
Well, and I think, Jackie, you shared it just a little bit ago of just how Affinity Plus, like we handle this often and it's without judgment. What are some other ways that Affinity Plus helps keep our members safe?
Sure. So, we have a lot of kind of learn articles on our affinityplus.org where members and non-members can go and educate themselves on lots of different topics when it comes to fraud, identity theft, romance scams, just keeping yourself safe online, good kind of online or technical cybersecurity hygiene. Password stuff that you should or shouldn't do.
Oh, that was fancy.
I was like, that's a new one. I think I'm going to write that down.
Like don't use the same passwords. Don't share your information. Just, all that stuff. So that's just, I would say, at the surface level, what we have available to help support members. But, like you said, Amber, we have these conversations all the time. And we're trained in them. We're trained in how to spot red flags, how to help somebody recover. There's a lot of resources available for employees. And then we have sort of specialists, I would say, that are handling kind of behind the scenes monitoring account activity. Some of this stuff is very easy to spot, like, oh, so-and-so's never done these kinds of transactions and now they are. We monitor that, and stuff pops up as unusual. I mean, there's entire fraud monitoring systems that just detect romance scams because there's kind of telltale signs.
Wow.
We will reach out when stuff looks suspicious. We will, this is probably a little bit different than I think most financial institutions, is that we will kind of involve ourselves in a transaction when we suspect something is going on, because the last thing we want to do is, send a wire for somebody if we think it might have something to do with a scam of some sort. So we will get into it and ask some questions. I mean, I've had members send me pictures and snippets of conversations. I mean, that's intrusive, but they wanted me to be able to help them figure out if it was part of a scam. So, I mean, we just care and we get involved. There's a lot of things that happen on the back end. But I think really honestly, our biggest pillar of support is just our employees and how we can care for people when this has happened.
Well, and I think you touched on something like the monitoring. It's kind of like if you use your debit card or your credit card and the company calls you of like, are you really for sure buying $800 at Walmart? Because technology is such a gift. Like technology knows like, oh, you typically don't spend $800 at Walmart. It's like $80. And so this is a little out of the usual for you. Like, can we make this transaction happen or not?
Yep.
And so catching it before it does happen.
Yeah. Or, maybe somebody has been coming into the branch to make large withdrawals all of a sudden, and they don't usually do that. And it's from their 401k deposit that they just got, but it wouldn't be typical for them to be receiving 401k money right now, but they're sending it to the fraudster. And so, yeah.
So it's just a little bit of a look kind of like behind the curtain of you come into a branch, you see people, you talk to people, but all this stuff is happening in the background. By all these people you don't see, by all this technology and monitoring that you're not seeing just on a surface kind of level.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's what your team kind of does essentially, right?
Yep. We have a lot of different fraud monitoring systems, both for atypical transaction activity, atypical digital banking activity, all kinds of stuff that I can't give away the secrets to on a public podcast.
That's okay.
But all financial institutions have these things in place.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It just depends on what exactly they're utilizing.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, financial institutions are regulated, whether you're a bank or credit union, you're all regulated by somebody. And there are rules about monitoring and requirements that have to be adhered to and all that fun stuff. Because, once in a while we'll chat with somebody and it's like, well, how did you know? Like, what even prompted this? How did you find this out? And then we kind of explain that, this alerted us.
Right.
This was an atypical transaction that occurred.
Yeah. Well, okay, Jacquie, kind of as we kind of, reflect on what we talked about today, if someone is to listen to this or someone is to see this and they're going to walk away with one thing from all the things you've talked about today, what do you want them to walk away with?
Well, I think I would just say that in kind of today's day and age where we're all using technology all the time, that makes us all available to people that we don't maybe want to be available to. It's okay to use technology for connection. I think that can be very beautiful and meaningful in lots of different ways. But in order to do it safely, you have to take the steps to protect yourself.
That was great.
I was like, wow, you really summed that up so smooth. Nice little bow.
Well, Jacquie, I just want to say thank you so much for coming back, first of all.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Our first returner.
I like it. First returner. Yes, that's what we're going to call it.
You can put that on like your, the little like desk title thing. Not director of operations. First returner.
Oh, and when you come back for a third time, we'll have a handy dandy nickname ready. Yeah. I'll think about it.
Repeat tweet.
Hey! She didn't even have to think. She did it for Yes. I love that. Well, truly, I mean, you're so knowledgeable. I mean, obviously we talked about foundation last time and we're talking about, keeping yourself safe online. So we really appreciate your expertise and coming back.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, make sure you check us out online at affinityplus.org to learn about anything Affinity Plus. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll catch you on the next episode of A+You.